Hello everyone, this is Arrow, and welcome back to Sundown MHA Podfic. Today we're going to be continuing Shouta Aizawa is Caught Horribly Underprepared by Hollowed Block '07. Chapter 9, That One Long Number Musical Reference. Here's the summary. On the way to school, Izuku and Shouta come upon a pretty rad hero. Thanks to the regularity of Izuku's schedule, Shouta had predicted that he had been a cat for roughly 3 weeks. 3 whole weeks, 21 days, 504 hours, and 30,240 minutes, and so on. The cat had used the quiet periods after turning into a feline to prepare as much as he could for the inevitable and potential outcomes, as he did as a human. Just because he was a cat, life wouldn't stop around him. It would keep trucking and punt him into the sun if it so wanted, so he needed to be prepared. And Shouta, inevitably, as he had predicted, was getting antsy. Who wouldn't? He had a husband he loved with all his heart and he couldn't interact with. Though he did see news updates when he sat with Izuku, and in the evenings his kid would put your hands up radio to get ready for bed. It wasn't a relaxing frequency of radio, but it seemed to do just that for him. He had his nightly patrols where he could do some good and distress while helping others, a job that, while he didn't have a form room, now thank God, he did still have responsibilities at. Hopefully, Nezu would likely know that he'd been caught in a quirk accident and was struggling to return, or he was dead, but the Chimera would probably wait for a sign before replacing him. Hopefully. He just missed his life a little bit, perhaps a marginally bigger bit than what he expressed, but only he would know that, so it didn't really need clarifying. Hopefully the kid's training with All Might, though he wouldn't put any actual faith in All Might's abilities. Rather, his face was doubly set on his kid's ability to work hard and analyze for the best possible outcome, would amount to something and help the greenette get into UA so his kid could be a part of his life. Today was the 21st day of being a cat, and though his life had started with him getting lost and injured, he couldn't say it was all that bad. Inko hadn't commented on his existence again after their first interaction, and he'd managed to get his kid out of harm's way at school a few times while tagging along with him, which, while it was heartbreaking, was a comforting feeling that he was doing some good for Izuku. But this milestone wasn't what was important about this day, not particularly. Rather, it was who he saw while catching a lift in Izuku's backpack to Aldera. Hisashi. There was a fight on the way to Aldera that Izuku of course had to stop by and analyze in his notebook. It was endearing how excited his boy was when it comes to heroics, and he couldn't say he wasn't to some extent just excited to see a proper fight after so long. It was a villain who could control fire, and when they took control of the flames, the copper tails looked like dragons. An interesting quirk for sure, but the hero fighting him, oh my god, it's President Mike, he's so cool! I listen to his radio show every night. Yeah, well, I live with him. Eat your heart out, lady. Seeing his husband fight, his sonic screams and well-timed punches stealing Shota's breath, was memorizing after so long of yearning to see a decent post of the man's face over Izuku's shoulder while he was scrolling. This was a blessing. The fight was finished quickly because Zashi is awesome and incredibly strong, and most villains wouldn't stand a chance against him. Only the strongest and the smartest, and those with big bug quirks. An ever-the-reputable hero, he chose to come and talk to the group of fans who had gathered nearby once he was sure the villain was restrained properly in police care, and the 2 mildly injured were on their way to the ambulance. Proper protocol. How I've missed you. And before he realized it, he had zoned out, happily watching his husband because despite his hard-ass exterior, he loved his husband and had missed him sorely, and as they'd never actually been apart from each other for this long since they'd met, President Mike was talking to Midoriya, and it was President Mike talking, not Hisashi Yamada. He was polite but a bit distant compared to most of his fan interactions, and kept conversations to quick and easy topics. Aizawa, eager to see his husband, popped his head out more clearly out of Midoriya's bag and looked dead at President Mike, watching his face melt as his husband asked politely to pet him, which he would happily let the man do, no questions asked. "What's his name, little listener?" the voice hero asked, scratching behind the ears in just the right spot. God, he loved his husband and would declare it every single second of the day if he kept scratching at that spot. Eraserhead, sir. I named him after an underground hero I really like. He seemed to not only like the namesake, but you as well. I also called him Present Mike. Yamada stopped for a second, looking into the black eyes of Eraserhead, something in the yellow-green gaze that looked sad, mournful even. Aizawa meowed, trying to convey love and care in his stupid little cat eyes because he couldn't hug his husband in this form, but his husband needed a hug because Zashi craved the physical reassurance that came with a good hug, and he looked so sad right now. Eraserhead is a good hero. You chose well, kid. You've got a great name, partner, kitty. The hero grinned softly, still tinged in sadness. You know, Eraserhead would love to meet a cat named after him. He's not usually a big fan of being perceived in the public eye, but having a cat named after him is something he would adore. The man was right, but he didn't have to say it. I hope he hears about Erasure then. Maybe it could brighten his day. Midoriya grinned, beaming, and President Mike melted at the look, about to say something before a notification pinned at his side, and he grimaced. I've got to get going, listener, but I really enjoyed talking with you, and meeting little Eraser here. The man scratched his head one more time, signed a quick autograph for the greenette, and sped off, likely having forgotten a meeting or having been summoned by Nezu. And Izuku ran to school, desperate to not be late because he likely had to clean his desk before the bell rang too, muttering about rescue stats and cleaning supplies. But all of that floated over Shouta, not taken in or heard because the only thing the feline could think about had run the other way, off across rooftops with obnoxiously styled hair and a massive speaker around their neck. Zashi. Chapter 10. Am I being called a cat right now? Summary. Aizawa remembers phones exist. He knew it was irrational to be sad after seeing his husband. He knew his husband was physically well, if nothing else, and was getting on with his jobs just fine, but he couldn't help it. All he knew was that he wanted to affectionately throttle his husband just to see his adoring gaze when he finished, slightly dizzy but amused at his antics, giggling softly and agreeing with whatever Shouta had been talking about. He needed to be with his husband like he needed air. And it wasn't that he didn't like Izuku. He did. The kid had grown on him and was taking care of him, getting him food, taking him out to see things so he didn't get too cooped up, spending time with him. The little rambles were entertaining and, dare he admit it, comforting and interesting. He had everything he needed to live, but he could barely bring himself to rouse from sleep, much less eat, because he just really missed Zashi. It was like a part of him had hollowed out from not being with Hisashi, and he couldn't feel it no matter what he tried. Thinking of his sunshine hurt. Not thinking of him was physically impossible, and he just got more sad and frustrated from his failed attempts. He was already annoyed when he realized he could have used his quirk to alert his husband to the fact that he actually was Eraserhead, and not just an incredibly handsome cat, so the additional irritations just made everything worse. And if that wasn't bad enough, Izuku was starting to notice he wasn't feeling quite right, eyeing the barely noticed cans he was leaving, looking at him analytically while he curled up. It was slightly unnerving and oddly stressful, but he just couldn't bring himself to care or do anything about it. He just slept and slept some more, then dissociated for a short while, then slept the rest of the day away. And surprisingly, it was a phone call that pulled him from his rut. Izuku was called by his mother and asked to go fetch some bits from the store down the road, a simple midweek grocery shop. And yet, he knew from experience that cats could use phones. Not very well, but they could, and those were regular cats. He had had enough selfies taken by his own cats in his camera roll to consider this a fact. And yet, why didn't I think of this sooner? His kid, thank his lucky stars, had left his phone while he ran around the house getting ready to leave, forgetting to pick it up as he flew out of the door, muttering the shopping list his mother had given him. And then it was just Shouta and Izuku's phone. He tapped the greenette's password with his nose, ignoring the wet blobs left in his wake as he saw the home screen flash to attention. The phone app was open, and then the number pad page was opened. Now, what was Hisashi's number? He felt like he knew it, but that wasn't through muscle memory in his right hand specifically. He was a cat. Wow, how shocking. And didn't have hands to use to remember the number for him. Was that it? It looked right, but in all honesty, any number could look right if you wanted it badly enough. Shouta supposed that all that was left was to call and see what happened. He bent down and pressed the call button, listening to the faint ringing curl into his ear twice, before he pressed the speaker button, realizing that he may struggle to hear his partner with it so quiet, only to remember just as the phone picked up. "Hello? Who's this?" His husband was loud as shit. Oh, how I've missed it. The Nuart meowed 3 quick sounds, following with 3 slightly longer ones, and finishing with the same quick sounds he had started with. SOS. Hisashi was sure to recognize it. His husband had taken the sign language elective over the code and cipher elective, but the entire class had given beginners classes on both to allow for effective communication when necessary, and his husband would most definitely understand it. Though Hisashi was quite quiet, maybe he was trying to figure out why a cat had called him. He'd try again, repeating the Morse code of SOS and meows. Is a cat asking for help over the phone right now? YH. Is a cat using text-speech to communicate with me right now? YH. What the I am Shouta. Shouta? Love? YH. Holy shit, I thought you were dead. You disappear off the face of the earth for weeks and you never do that unless it's serious, and you're a cat? Sorry. God, don't apologize. This is a quirk, right? Some villain or maybe some kid used their quirk on you and turned you into a cat? YH. No cameras? No, Nezu looked around your route in your usual coffee shop and there were no cameras aimed at the spot. That been fixed since, but it made trying to find you really hard, love. Missed you. Aw, Show, you sweet talker, sweet meower. What type of cat are you? I know you love cats. You can talk for days about them when you really get into it. Black Maine Coon. Aw, I bet you're adorable, love. The cutest cat ever. Saw you. You did? When? Hisashi broke into loud, unabashed cackles, breathless and wheezing. Are you the cat called Eraserhead? The one who really likes me according to the little listener? YH. Oh my god. More wheezing, and though it was annoying and made him want to roll his eyes, he soaked it up, feeling high thanks to finally being able to talk to his husband to be understood, to let him know he was alive and okay. That's adorable, Show. Really weird coincidence, too. Wait, did the kid kidnap you? Catnap you? Do I need to try and make everything cat-friendly for you? No, and no. Oh, thank God for both of them. Is the kid taking care of you? YH. Am safe. I'm glad. Now we've got to find you. Do you know the kid's name? We can look it up and find where he lives. The door slammed open, the kid calling out about how he forgot his phone, and it shocked Shouta out of his happy in the Morse code zone, and his nose accidentally pressed the end call button. Shit. Izuku walked into the hero merch decorated room and smiled upon seeing Eraserhead bent over his phone, probably thinking he was looking at himself. Hey, Eraser, forgot my phone and went down a couple flight of stairs before I realized I'd forgotten it. You looking at my phone? His kid asked, grabbing a hoodie from his closet and taking the phone off its charger, only pausing to pet Shota's head quickly. Izuku ran back out the door, and Shouta, despite not getting any serious nor helpful information across, felt lighter for just having heard his husband say his name. Maybe things would be looking up. Alright, everyone, that is the end for chapters 9 and 10. I really love these chapters, especially since Shouta finally managed to get in contact with Hisashi. I hope you guys enjoyed them too. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!